Hello, everyone. Today is May 14th, 2024. This is the Kubernetes Data Protection Working Group meeting. So let's first go over the CPT status. So the CAP is still in review. Now we do have this new repo created. So I see Yvonne joined today. Now, do we know who can start working on this repo? Because now we actually finally got this created. We can start to move the POC code to this repo now, get this repo set up. So I see Yvonne and
Yeah, we can start working on it.
okay, did you get permission? Because that last time I heard was you were still waiting for some approval.
Yeah, we are waiting for VM legal team. But yeah, I mean, I can start raising PR. So I will discuss with Ivan and Carl, and we will decide the next steps.
Okay. All right. So, okay, so do you know what needs to be done? Basically, you can look at, you can actually look at the external snapshot or repo, just
Yeah. That's what I had in mind.
okay. Yeah, you need to, first you need to set up the release tools.
So even before raising PRs about code, do we need to set up some
You need to
tooling,
set up those.
something like that?
Right.
Okay.
I think you can, actually you can start the raising PR, that should be fine. I think it's just before we, release anything, we'll need to set those up. Yeah.
Okay.
Prasad, I might be able to help you with some of the release and CI setup. We can sync up offline or something.
Okay.
Very good. Sounds good.
Yeah, actually, Ben, you I don't know if you still remember when you set up, because the snapshot has been a while. I don't know if you still remember for the volume populator. Did you set up that later or earlier? I forgot. So it should be okay. We don't have to do that right away, right?
Well, so I created two repos. What was the question about them?
Is there?
Were you able to submit your PR, like code PR, before you set up the release tools? I actually forgot the thing should be okay.
Release tools came substantially later. Like there was, we created the repos, we put the code in them, and then integrated release tools months after.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things you have to do because once you get the repo created, you need to set up prow to run tests. You need to set up release tools. There's this whole list of things I had to do to make it behave like a Kubernetes repo. I remember taking notes on this, but it's been years, so I'd have to go dig up those notes.
Yeah, we probably actually, I don't think we actually have good documentation on what you should do after you have a new repo. Yeah, we actually should have.
Yeah, it's
we have, I think we have documentation on how to cut the release, but we don't really have something for what to do for a new repo. Yeah.
for a while it was changing somewhat frequently because we were evolving things, and I think it has settled down over the last few years, but
Yeah.
I couldn't swear nothing has changed since I created repo because I don't know.
Yeah.
It does argue for hurrying up to some future state where we have like a mono repo, because then we could economize on all of this
Right. Yeah. Don't have to do the all.
but there's so much work to get from where we are to that place too. So
yeah, that one still. Someone is working on it. So, but yeah, we can't rely on that one yet.
So So for now, like I guess we can look at the external snapshotter, or what about the volume populator repos?
You
Can
can
we?
also look at that one. Yeah, that one is actually
Okay.
newer, right? It's easier
Yeah, I
Yeah,
figure
so
that's
at the
it's
newer
more
repos.
recent.
Yeah.
the two that I created were called lib volume populator, I think, and uh, uh, something data source validator, volume data source validator, I think.
That's
So yeah,
under
there.
that's under 6. Is it? Oh, it is also under CSI. Sorry, I somehow thought it
I
was.
think they're both under Kubernetes CSI.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can you can just check those newer.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Although that one, because we haven't done any releases recently, right? So if you look at the most update changes, then you probably still want to look at the snapshot or newer, those other repos that are updated more frequently. I think, but that's only like if you want to set up bots, that's much later. So I think it's probably still okay for you to start to look at that one. There are some like automatic updating the dependencies. I think those we probably don't.
Oh,
not
dependent
set up.
bot.
Yeah, we probably don't have those
Yes.
in volume populator yet because those have been, because we haven't released them recently. But I think Michelle says that someone from her team might want to actually move that to GA. So then that will get more updated after that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. We'll poke around.
Okay.
And then maybe like so I guess like once we should open pull requests for those tooling as well, right? And then get someone to help review them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of the cap, like I think as far as we can tell, we address all the feedback comments. I think like we saw like some traffic. People have questions about it, which is great. I guess there's some interest outside of folks on this forum. But otherwise, as far as we know, how the review feedback have been addressed.
Ben, can you comment on that? Are there anything new? I remember you mentioned something, but I don't know. Do we need to do anything else for this cap?
I think.
Yeah, the latest feedback was around like fixed versus variable.
Okay, so do we need to do anything do we need to make any changes or what? Is this what the CSI
I think for alpha,
should be okay?
for alpha, I think we're good. There was
Okay.
some feedback on, maybe we can improve the CSI API for between the SP and the CO. But that's something we can iterate on it. I think it's best to just get it working, get
Okay.
it demonstrated, at end to end. And then if we want to come back and say, okay, we actually need to, sand off some rough edges. I'd rather do that after we have an
Okay.
end-to-end working thing.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And okay.
Because otherwise, I feel like it will open up like, like more use cases, more changes, to the API and the spec.
Yeah. We don't want to like go down the bike shedding path,
Yeah, exactly.
we want to make sure that like in broad strokes this thing is going to work, and then actually show it working. And then I think once you have working implementations, it's way easier to see where the weak points are.
Yeah.
It's speculation before then.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I have pinned Michelle to review the cap, so I'll pin her again. She needs to do the API review. So yeah, I told her, I said, Ben, you're already mostly fine with this, right? So
Yeah.
but she still need to go over that from the API point of view. So okay. Oh, do we have a action for this one, or are we good? Okay, I think this is we are okay with this one. I think this is a question I asked earlier. And I think this one it's okay. We can bring this up again just to see if there are other CSI changes we need to make before cutting a CSS spec release. But this should not be blocking us, right? From moving forward with this repo. We can start working on the repo. Okay, so we'll just say that was start to XPRs. Okay. Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, so right now this is I've labeled this cap as targeting for 1.31. So okay. Anything else on this?
Yeah, Xing, just a quick note for everyone on the call, like so yeah, so just like I think starting like around like next month, like I won't be able to continue my involvement with this working group. So I'll be leaving Dell, and at this point, like it doesn't look like my new employer is invested in storage. So I think, yeah, I have about like couple weeks to help out with some of the caps and even items on the repo. But after that, like I'm starting around mid-June, yeah, I won't be unfortunately continuing my contribution to this working group.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Sorry to hear that, Ivan.
Yeah, it's definitely it's been a good like almost what 2 years, 2.5 years now working with you all, and yeah, my yeah the new gig like focuses on storage stuff. So as much as I would love to hang out with you all and continue to do things, sometimes it's just not possible. But yeah, I'll be around, like I'm on Kubernetes Slack and stuff like that. I'm sure like we'll definitely cross path, and if you all need anything, just ping me.
Thank you for driving this cap to this point.
Yeah,
We're getting really close.
yeah, it's been a good long journey with everybody.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So, okay, so you like say after a month, you won't be, let's say if our caps do not merge, you won't be able to update it anymore, right?
Like if it is like a minor like like change the release tag, I'm happy to do
Okay.
that for sure. But if it is like and then like I think for the most part also like Prasad and Carl have been doing the API side, I think, which is more involved. So yeah, if it is still not merged, then like either like we can, I don't know if it makes sense to close this and reopen it, or
I think they can, I think it's good to keep this, right? This one has been
yeah, it
a lot
has
of
many
history.
feedback, and yeah. So I'll continue to get emails and notification about it. So
can you make them collaborator? Then they can also update this, right?
how do I think like they can? How do I?
You
on my
need to make it,
repository.
yeah. On
Oh,
your
okay.
on your, because this is you have like on your you fork
My
this,
fork,
right?
right? Yeah. I
You
think
make them a collaborator, then they should be okay. Should be able to do that, I think. Yeah.
yeah, actually that's a good point. I think they already are. So yeah, like Prasad, I'm pretty sure you all have collaboration, if not owner repo access to the fork. If not, I can update it. But yeah, so yeah, all this is to say like I'll continue to get notification about it.
Okay.
I can help with little things, but otherwise, if I can't do it, then I'll make sure Prasad and Carl can access it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Do you know if Dell is going to have someone who continue the upstream work?
Yeah, I need to confirm it with Sukana. Like there
Mhm.
has been transitioning happening
Mm.
quite a bit as well, not just me. So yeah, I will confirm it with Sukana to see, what's their plan with it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll ping you and keep you all.
It was a pleasure working with you, Ivan. All the
Oh.
best, and yeah, we'll definitely miss you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll miss you all too.
Okay. Anything else about this? Okay, so the next topic, we can continue our discussion, our application. I try to start to put together some, but this I have not really finished this one. I'm just trying to see what this might look like if we have something upstream. But this is kind of like what we have for the voting group snapshot. So this is like what we have for voting group, because initially I was attempting to use that for both the application and the group snapshot, but then we didn't do that. But I was trying to make this look somewhat similar to what we have over there. But this is still, I mean, I have not really finished it. It's just get started. Right, so let's say if we have a application group, this is just the standard stuff. You have spec and status, and in the specs of so now here, so
So this proposal is to do all replication as groups and to
this
treat
is
individual.
I'll start with this. I mean,
Okay.
if I mean, we can also do voting replication later. I just personally am more interested in this one, so I want to start with this, and just to see, well, whether we can reach any consensus on this one.
Yeah, I have a list of questions about groups written down somewhere. So if you send out a link to this doc, I can add comments in or whatever to say
This is
all the things
not
I think we need to
complete.
nail down.
Of course, this is not complete. I just started. I was like, okay, there's a lot of things to consider. Yes, I'm not sure whether we should have a source, right? So I was initially thinking, okay, maybe we have a source, but this is like you already have the list of PVCs, but that's kind of weird, right? Normally, probably either when you create the PVC, you add it to the group, or you can add them later, but not like this, right? So this is like assuming you have everything already created, established, and then they're kind of weird. So maybe this does not make sense. So
I think that's one of the crucial questions about groups is we have to decide
how we create a group, right?
Can you create a group out of existing things? Do things need to start their lifetime already in a group? Can you tear groups apart and put them back together? I think we just have to have an answer to each of those questions.
Right. Yeah. So I think like if we just create a volume and then add them to the group, at that time that should work, right? I see that. I actually look at Tom's document, right? So that's what you actually do now. At least when I look at this one, I think this is the only way to add it to the group right now, right? Because you don't, although it's possible for you to do that, but right now you do not support the adding a existing volume to the group, right? Basically,
Wait. Just so I understand, the proposal is new volumes need to be created inside the group. You can't move them in later.
I would like to propose we can allow that. I was just talking about, I think we talked about this last time. I remember Tom here? Tom's here, right? Oh no, he's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. I remember I asked you last time, you said right now, this is only when you created, you add it in the group, but you cannot remove it or add later. But it is possible for the array to support that, right? I remember you said that.
It's, it's theoretically possible we could support that. I mean, we could do that with the array. It's just the orchestration that we've written around that doesn't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be done. It's just the orchestration of that would be complicated. We chose not to support that use case so far anyway.
Okay. So let's say let's say if we assume that a new PVC.
I mean, in general, when we're designing an interface like this, we have to either decide to be stringent for what we allow the user to do, or stringent in what we require the vendor to implement. Like you can't be loose on both sides. So we either have to like allow users to have a very, very proscribed user interface, but they have to do everything exactly one way, or we have to put lots and lots of requirements on the vendors to be very flexible. It'll be up to this working group to decide, which side of that teeter-totter we want to push down on, because you can't push down on both. I personally am inclined to have a more to prioritize the interests of the user and design a user interface that we actually think is good, even if it means certain storage interface or certain storage implementations like can't implement the interface, because then in the fullness of time you will get new implementations that can implement the interface. If we prioritize existing implementations, then we'll end up designing a bad interface that no one wants to use anyways. That's my opinion in terms of how we strike that balance.
So what is your preference is what? Is only allow it to be added at creation time and not add more flexibility to it? Is that the
no, I'm saying
Oh.
in general, more user flexibility is better. But
Mhm.
we need to like think through which things the user is actually going to want and which things are unnecessary.
Mhm.
But the inevitable effect of that is, we'll make some decision that, the user interface should work this way, and then some storage vendors will say, well, I can't implement that,
Mhm.
and that'll just be, tough luck, because.
And then you are saying like if we add a new interface, it has to be like required, cannot be optional. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the trade-off is inevitable, right? Either we push requirements onto the storage vendors or we push limitations onto the end user. You can't avoid both.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree about the trade-off. I mean, from our perspective, we'd like to see that be one of the, I forget what they're called exactly in the CSI spec, one of the attributes that says this driver supports this particular thing or not.
Capability.
Capability, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. You can go too far with capabilities too, because then the spec is just almost meaningless. So I get your point about the trade-off and agree with it.
And we can also start with small and then add more later, expand it later. So let's say if we start with, okay, initially we only do this, and then later on we can decide to add new capabilities.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a tried and true model.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably easiest for the vendors to deal with too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the reason we're here is to obviously look out to try and make sure we can anticipate what changes in the spec are coming and try and make sure our storage is able to meet it, or we can influence in some way that, we're not at a huge disadvantage.
Mhm.
Yeah, but there's, I guess, there's two failure modes that we have to watch out for. One is that we design a spec that's so hard to implement that like only one storage vendor can implement it and nobody else can, in which case it would die for that reason. Or design a spec that's so convoluted that end users like can't figure out how to use it, in
Mhm.
which case it would die for that reason. So we need to avoid both of those fates.
Right.
And then so for the actions would be enable, disable, failover, failback, or suspend. I think this is what else whether we can agree on all the things that we want to do here. So,
So the trick with failing back is you don't always fail back to the place where you started from, right? Because there's one of the reasons we do replication is in case a device is gone, right? So you have device A with a bunch of volumes mirroring to device B, and then device A gets hit by a meteor, and you fail over to device B, and you're glad you had that replication. But now device A is gone, and you have to figure out what to do because you go install device C, and then set up replication again.
right, in that case, you cannot fail back, but then you need to kind of establish new replication relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like the model of establishing a relationship and then breaking the relationship. It seems to make more sense as a way of like doing the failover. You're basically promoting the secondary to be a primary, irregardless of what the fate of the original primary is. Because if you depend on the primary to continue to exist, you don't really have a disaster recovery scheme in the situations where the primary isn't still around.
Oh, so you're saying don't support failback? You just
No, I would model failback as like another failover to a newly established relationship, which might happen to just be the mirror image of the original relationship, or might not be.
I like the generality of that. It's a nice concept. However, it would be a good deal of work for us to support that.
I'm sorry?
I said, however, it would be a good deal of work for us to support that.
So Tom, what do you do currently if you actually have a disaster and the device is gone?
We don't handle well, you can certainly fail over, and you can have the original device gone, but we don't have provisioning then for establishing that what was the secondary device to establish yet another relationship.
Thomas,
Can you have a new device assume the identity of the original primary and like in the scenario where you've lost half of your storage and now you go buy a new one and you install it and you somehow wire it back up to replicate again? Can you just say, well, this new device is actually the old device and I'm just changing its identity?
Yeah, more likely it would be more complicated for us, and we would have to snap the device and then create a new replication relationship, as you said.
Okay.
Or
But are you saying you don't?
deconfigure the replication and configure a new replication, but we don't support that dynamic deconfiguring and reconfiguring. But I like it conceptually. Sorry, Shane, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that, okay, maybe you didn't have everything. I see there's has so many different types of actions supported here. But you do have feedback, right? You
Oh, yeah.
work here. Okay.
Yes, a failover is, there's planned and unplanned failover, and a failover that is unplanned obviously assumes that where you came from is not communicating. Now, you can't do anything with it. It's just not there.
Right. And then that could be temporary or permanent, right? It could be a power outage, or it could be a crack in the earth that swallowed the machine.
Yeah. That's right. The crack in the earth case where you want to establish a new relationship, we don't support. But assuming that it, you still got the volume if you cracked in the earth. Once you fail over, you're not obviously replicating back to where you came from. So a reprotect would allow you to do that. And then a fail back would allow you to go back to where you came from, or alternately just to fail over again.
And you're saying you don't have, you would have this, right? Enable, disable. You're saying you don't do that? Right?
Yeah, we can suspend and resume the link communication, which
Okay.
I'm not
Suspend-
sure if that's what you
I
mean.
thought it's,
I'm not sure if
thought
that's
it's a
what
little
you mean
different.
by enable and disable.
I thought it's a little different. Suspend, it's you're not really breaking them. It's just kind of pause it. But enable is like you're like kind of synchronizing them, kind of making them a pair.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Um,
we don't have an explicit action for enable and disable.
oh,
Yeah, well, why would anyone ever want to disable replication? Like, what's the use case?
oh, this is like you're breaking the relationship. That's what I was saying, trying to say.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yes, yes.
But that's like a
Enable
deletion
replication, disable.
of a relationship object or something.
So, I thought suspend is like kind of in the middle. That's how I remembered it. Suspend, it's like you're not really, it's just
Yeah.
to stop the,
Stop the
pause,
replication
right?
temporarily,
link.
pause the replication, and then
Yeah.
there's a resume that goes with suspend.
Oh yeah, right, reason, right. Right. Yeah, this is like right in the beginning, right? That this is like kind of at the end. You want to just completely break it. So
But again, like, why would a user choose to suspend replication? Like, what would be going through their head? They would call that API.
Maybe they know their link is going to go down temporarily.
Right, but that could happen in an unplanned way anyways, and the system
Yeah.
still has to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why tell the system this is going to happen if it can handle it happening anyways?
I don't have a good answer for that.
I mean, I guess I always want to be thinking in terms of like the end user's experience. Like, what are they
Yeah.
trying to achieve? What are why are they doing what they're doing? And try to make it simple for them, right? Because if we give them a
Right.
menu of 85 different actions they can do, they're never going to figure it out.
Yeah,
oh yes,
I
are
would
you
agree
saying
with
kind
that.
of hide this from the APIs? Just kind of this is
Yeah, I would
like
say
maintenance mode or something. This kind of
unless we can point to why it is essential, let's just leave it out.
Right.
and try to just put the things that you actually need and that it wouldn't work if you didn't have them. And start from there, because that might point towards, a small subset of things that are non-negotiable.
The one thing that I think it's missing is after a failover, you need at least we need an explicit action to enable the protection going in the reverse direction. We call that a reprotect.
Can we do enable, or you think this is because it's kind of reverse?
If
Different?
we could, yeah, we could do an enable if it, I mean, we could call that enable if it were, depending upon how enable is defined. Yes, we could do
Enable
that.
is established relationship, but this one is like re-enable. Okay, so it's like
The relationship's there, but we're basically turning it
can change the
back
primary
on.
and secondary, right?
Well, you've already done that when you failed over, but
Okay, so
assuming,
then why do we need, so just like you restart the replication again from the new primary to the new secondary?
You're reversing the direction.
Re-enable.
So you're basically, you're conceptually creating a new relationship going backwards. And so some systems will be able to reuse all their metadata to just do that. Other ones might involve, a whole second relationship pointing the reverse direction.
right.
Yeah, but this one, do we actually need a separate command to do this? Can we just like after failover, can we just say then the system can just do that automatically, or do we have to wait for someone to come in
Well,
and run this command again?
I think that there's a question of whether we want to allow establishment of the relationship to a third place instead of back to the original place, to cover the case where the original place is permanently gone. So someone needs to tell the system, like, I actually expect that the original primary is going to be alive again, so start replicating back there, versus I know that it's never coming back, and so let's clean it up and go replicate to a new place.
And
That's
I think if you have enable and disable, those could all be handled as cases in those, right?
Right, yeah. Can we do,
Don't know that you
let me
need
just
to
use-
re-enable.
let me
If
just-
enable specifies the target of where you're establishing to, and disable says this one's never coming back, not sure you need a re-enable. We could implement what we call reprotect as basically an enable in the reverse direction back to the original.
Mhm.
Is that what you had in mind, Ben? I think so.
I mean, in my mind, the relationship is its own object, right? Where you have groups that represent the data, and then you have its different object which represents the replication that's happening between the groups. And so you could disable replication by deleting the relationship and create a new relationship that either points back to where it came from or points to a new place. And it was be the creation and deletion of that relationship object that would notify the system that you want to change what's going on. I'm just trying to think through like what an end user would actually do. They're because yeah, they're thinking about, that I know where my data is and I know where the replication should be going. And when an actual disaster occurs, the system isn't going to figure that out without some help from the humans. I don't think so. So yeah, after the disaster, the system has to be told, this is what I want you to do now.
Yeah, there are certain cases where you want the human to intervene or at least approve what the system's going to do.
Yeah, you can always have a default that says, without any input, do this. But it seems to me that in a real disaster, there is no default that will give you a good result.
Right.
We got a conclusion for this one, so we should be okay for this one to be covered by enable and
Well,
disable.
Xing, what do you think about an entirely separate object that represents the relationship that it can be created and deleted instead of having metadata on the group encode all of the information about replication?
We could do that, but I'm hoping to use get to create less number of API objects.
Yeah.
We need to have
Well,
another one.
I
Yeah,
guess we
okay.
should ask, like, what if I want to replicate to two places? Like, what if I have A and I want to replicate to B and I want to replicate to C, so I'm double protected?
Okay.
Like, is that a thing we want to allow?
So basically, okay, you're saying if
Yeah, we do have that ability. So
One,
for
two.
that reason, I actually like having a separate object there.
to more than one place. Should we use a separate to represent? Yeah, that's what the Trident has, right? Distribution.
Well, Trident does this on a per volume basis.
Right, but I remember it has a separate
But well, I'm trying in Trident. Okay, that's right. They have the TMR, which is which models the mirror relationship, and that is separate from the PDC. So yeah, okay.
I remember something about that.
They kind of model.
Oops.
And I know that deep down inside, the NetApp device,
Yeah.
you have volumes as first class objects, and you have relationships as first class objects, and relationships can be created and deleted, etc.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the first part of the, what was the question on Trident behavior?
Oh, we were just talking about, we were talking about this one, and Ben was saying then, should we have a separate API object to represent replication relationship? Because you
if we're going to design an
list.
object-based API for replication, I like the idea of having an object that represents a mirror relationship explicitly.
Yeah, so basically, like this, right? So I remember there was something there on the Trident design, have this relationship, it's like a separate API to represent the relationship, so that you may have, let's say if you have another one, it will be more clear because this relationship will show, just to show this one relationship, right? We wouldn't kind of jam this with too many things. Okay.
But you're quickly going to bump into like weird vendor limitations around maximum fan out and whether they support chained relationships and all kinds of weird vendor specific limitations. I mean, again, my preference is like, let's not surface that up at the API level and just say, hey, the user should be able to do what the user wants to do and the storage has to figure it out.
Okay. So in this one, right now, Tom, you only support one, right? Is that just this is just one leg basically, right? In your this one does not have
one link.
One link, yes, yeah, okay.
We are currently actually investigating supporting multiple though, so.
Right, I'm sure the array can support that, but I mean the current design only supports one, right? But you are saying, you're trying to see if you can expand this one to support multiple as well.
Yeah, if you go back to the earlier slides, I think I had a slide where I showed 3-site and 4-site, and certainly we're interested in supporting that eventually, and I think Ben's idea would allow us to do that.
This one? I'm not sure. Is this the one? Complex.
Yes, something like this, yeah.
This is just this is 2, right? 3. This is is this A?
Here you have the top large green boxes are a metro replication, and then there's asynchronous or synchronous replication.
Okay, so
the sites are labeled A, B, C, and D.
Okay, but right
Yes.
now this one is not. Okay, I see. It's not supported. Okay. So if we have something like this, it'll be easier at least to
It would
represent
be
that.
easier actually to do it with a model like that.
That's true. Okay. Okay, so okay, now for this type of relationship, if we let's say if we have that for groups, do we still need to record those? Yeah, we still somehow need to record that at the volume level, right? You still need to know which one is corresponding to which.
So are you thinking about associating individual volumes with this? I'm going to call it a link object, or maybe volume groups with a link object, or maybe
So
either or both,
if
or
it's just one, okay, so initially, since I was just thinking about one, right? So that will be easier. Then basically in this in PVC you could have like a group name, replication group name. But now if you have a multiple
that's what we have today,
Yeah.
but the replication group is most similar probably to a volume group.
right.
So to have the link objects, you're going to need to either be able to associate a volume or a collection of volume with a link object. Aren't you,
I
Well,
Ben?
you just need to know that if you have volumes A and B in a group and they're replicated in another group with volumes C and D, you need to know, does A go to C or does A go to D? Right?
Yes, that's pretty
That's
important.
more complicated. Yeah.
fundamentally that's what you need to know.
Yeah.
But you could,
now I remember actually in originally in my earlier design of the volume group, actually I do have one PVC could be multiple groups, right? Remember that time actually it's like an array of the groups. But yeah,
overlapping group membership is another question we have to answer. Is that
Yeah.
okay or not?
I'm just saying I just remembered at that time. But this one is like you're saying, although they have multiple relationship, but they are still in the same group. Is that what you mean? Although this one is for volume only, this one is not for the groups. Okay.
Well, it's just somewhere you have to be able to compute the mapping of what's replicating to what.
Yeah.
And you could do that by ordering all the volumes in every group and saying the first one goes to the first one and the second one goes to the second one and the third one goes to the third one always. And that would make it easy. But if people are allowed to like delete volumes out of groups or add new volumes into groups, then you have to come up with an explanation. What happens in all the other groups that group is in relationship with?
I think in those cases we do have to kind of somehow we need to kind of pairing things together, otherwise it'll be hard to make sure it's always in the correct order.
It's easier if you don't do groups. I'll just say that.
I'm sorry?
It's easier if we don't do groups. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, but we do support groups, right? It does not work without groups, so that's the thing.
I know you want to start with groups. I'm just saying now it gives us these additional problems that we wouldn't have if we were just doing individual volume replication.
Well, but it gives you less functionality too, though, because if an application is using multiple volumes, the whole idea of the group is there's consistency across the group as there is with snaps.
I'm not disputing the groups have value. I'm just saying we're shoving a huge morsel of food in our mouth with
and also I thought
groups at the same time.
I thought NetApp supports groups as well, right? Replication groups. I thought
kind of
for that.
Kind of. NetApp does have a group replication, but it's not. I don't know. Trey, is it explicitly represented in somewhere in the TMR?
Yeah, the TMR, we have multiple volume mappings, at least in the structure of the TMR spec. But currently we only support one at a time because we haven't actually implemented support for the groups yet.
Oh, okay. So if group replication were supported, it would be in the relationship itself would provide the mapping.
Correct. Yep, that was the idea. It'd be an array of
But
objects with local PVC and
I-
remote volume handle. Yeah.
I kind of like that because in the model we're proposing here, if you have a group with like 3 volumes and it's replicating to another group with 3 volumes, and the relationship contains the mapping from the first 3 to the second 3, and now you decide to add a 4th volume to the first group, like in terms of what you do next, you have an opportunity now to go add a 4th volume to the destination group and then mutate the relationship to map the 4th volume on the primary side to the 4th volume on the secondary side. You could do that in sequence. If we try to do it implicitly, like what would you do in the period between when that first volume was created in the first group and then its secondary was created in the secondary group? It would be kind of weird to know like, oh, we need to go do more work now. Or
Can
what
we,
would it,
yeah, back up a little bit. I was just trying to, okay, so how does the relationship automatically connect us to a group again? I mean, how, because this one, I don't remember this one talking about groups. So how does this work?
So over in the bottom right, in the destination TMR spec, we have the volume mappings field. And this one just shows
Okay.
one currently, but that's an array of objects, and the keys of that object are local PVC name and remote volume handle. So the idea was that we could have more than one volume mapping in the TMR, and that would correspond to
Oh, so this is actually a group already. Interesting, isn't
yeah,
it?
but we don't actually support doing that yet, but the
But you have
they are
the
defined.
flexibility to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
well,
and-
and I think the design is like the relationship object allows multiple volumes to replicate together, but the volumes themselves don't have to be in any formal group. They're just volumes, individual volumes that are individually defined, and then the relationship says take these 4 volumes and replicate them to these 4 volumes as a group. And so all of the grouping is inside the relationship object in the NetApp case. And the weakness of it, if I recall, is that in order for it to be able to replicate things together, you have to know in advance when you're creating them that you're creating them in the same place. Because you can't just take arbitrary volumes that are not on the same device and get them to replicate together as a group.
Right, so it's basically you do that at the creation time, right? That's the
Yeah,
same
so-
thing that what Tom is saying for the DAO design. It's also at creation time.
You at least need to hint to the scheduler that like I want this volume to be able to replicate with these other volumes as a group so that it can route the volume to the same place.
So,
Even if you don't formally make it a group when you create it, you need that scheduler hint.
so this is okay. So this is kind of already like a group then, right? It just
Yeah, and that scheduler hinting could be separate from the definition of the relationship. But yeah, in the NetApp case, at least the group is not going to work unless those things are co-located on the same SVM and ONTAP.
right. I think that would be the case for other arrays as well, right? You have to place them at the right place
Yeah, it'd be nice if you could use.
dynamically.
It could be nice to integrate those two things together, where you use the definition of the replication relationship that you plan to define to help schedule the source volumes. But that could be decoupled as well, potentially.
Oh, and another thing is, so okay, so there's also I actually think I forgot the details of this now. Okay, so you also have a relationship between that and the snapshot.
So this one is an update. So this is an explicit transfer of a particular snapshot.
Okay.
Right. That's essential for planned failovers.
Okay.
Where you want to make sure they're lossless. So you need some final snapshot before you do the break.
Okay.
Yep, you at least need to know that that it has transferred somehow. That could be the status of the relationship. But for this one, we wanted to have control over explicitly when we trigger replication of a new snapshot, and then also know when it completes.
Mhm.
I'm getting kicked out of my room and we're.
Okay, yeah, we are, yeah. It's actually just 1 minute, yeah. I think we can probably pause here and yeah, I'll need to take a look of this design and see how to reconcile this one with the groups that I was thinking about earlier. Yeah, then we can continue our discussion next time.
Hey, thanks for getting the discussion started, Xing.
Hey, thank you for the discussion. All right,
Yeah, sounds good.
thank
Thanks,
you.
all.
Bye.